Hey guys, it's Alex Serpentine. I'm back with a new video series on the roles or soul types from Michael Teachings. If you don't know what the roles are, they're different soul types or archetypes that we embody for our whole reincarnational cycle. It stays the same throughout our whole cycle. So they have certain qualities and strengths and weaknesses, which I'll go into. Um, and I also made a roles test if you haven't taken it yet. That's in the description of this video, so you can figure out your primary, secondary, and tertiary role, so you can better understand yourself. So I'm going to go into details of everything for the server, its characteristics, strengths, weaknesses, as well as comparing it to other systems such as Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, astrology, and aura colors. So let's get into it. Here's the overview for the server. The server is dedicated to helping, supporting, and nurturing others. It focuses on creating harmony and providing care in relationships and communities. Their natural inclination is towards service, healing, and fostering well being. The archetypal energy for the server. It represents the archetype of the caregiver, healer, or helper. It embodies qualities of empathy, compassion, and selflessness. They're grounded in a deep sense of duty and responsibility to uplift others. So what you can see from this slide is the percentage of population for each of the roles globally. So the server is actually the most populous. There's basically mostly servers on the planet, you could say. So it's 25% of the population are servers. However, in the US, it's actually less than this. It's probably around more like 10 to 15 because our culture does not really support or emphasize the qualities of the server. So basically, the servers don't really feel as at home as they could in the US. They're actually a lot more populous in China. I've heard reports for China being actually 50% of the population in China are servers, which is pretty crazy. So basically, these are like this chart is the overall population for each of them, but it can vary in different uh, countries or cultures. So it's always interesting to see. Okay, so the primary motivations for the server, they're driven by a desire to help, nurture, and support others. They seek to create harmony, peace, and well-being in their environment. They're motivated by a sense of duty and commitment to service. Their key traits are that they're empathetic, highly attuned to the needs of others, reliable, dependable, and often self-sacrificing, patient, gentle, and approachable with a calming presence. They're natural healers, caregivers, and protectors. They tend to prioritize others' needs over their own, often putting themselves last. So in the Michael teachings, which is where these roles come from, they have a positive, negative pole for each of the characteristics and for the roles. So the positive pole is the best manifestation of it, and negative pole is the kind of like the worst manifestation of it. So the positive pole for the server is service. It's a genuine desire to help and support others with compassion and selflessness. And the negative pole is bondage, where they feel trapped and obligated to serve, leading to self-neglect and resentment. The strengths of the server are that they have an exceptional ability to provide care, comfort, and support to others. They're highly empathetic and intuitive, often understanding unspoken needs. They have a strong sense of duty, reliability, and commitment to helping. They have patience and perseverance in challenging situations. Some of the challenges for servers are that they have a tendency to neglect their own needs and well-being while focusing on others. They have difficulty setting boundaries, leading to burnout and resentment. They have over-reliance on external validation through helping others, and they may struggle with feelings of inadequacy or guilt if unable to help. So the growth focus for servers, things they need to work on, are setting boundaries, learning how to say no and protect their own energy. They need to balance giving and receiving, allowing others to support them in return. And they need to cultivate self-worth, recognizing their value beyond their role as a helper. So here's something for their spiritual path, things they can focus for their own unique spiritual journey. Practice self-compassion, focus on self-love and acceptance. Set healthy boundaries, learning to balance giving with self-care. Engage in mindfulness, regular meditation to stay present and centered. They need to reflect on inner needs, journaling to understand personal desires and emotions. And seek spiritual community, connect with groups that align with your values of service and compassion. Their interaction style is that they're supportive and nurturing. They provide care and emotional support. They're empathetic listeners, making others feel understood. They're loyal and dependable, committed to maintaining strong bonds. Conflict averse, they prefer harmony and peace. Self-sacrificing, they tend to prioritize others' needs. So here's some little bit notes on how they interact with other roles, how compatible they are. With other servers, they may compete to see who can be more devoted. They'll just be helping each other and trying to one up each other on how much they can help each other. So they might not be able to take care of themselves efficiently. Artisans, they're pretty compatible with artisans because they're both really focused on one-to-one relationships. They're both ordinal types, as they're called. Warriors, it's a little bit harder because warriors are kind of insensitive to server inspiration and pliability. They don't value or understand kind of the server's approach to things. But that doesn't mean that you can't make it work if there's a bond there. With scholars, it works well if the server is intelligent and educated, because the scholar is going to want to be able to talk to them about lots of deep concepts and different things all the time. So if the server is like that, it's going to work well. With sages, the server helps the sage become more emotionally balanced. The servers are an inspiration role, which means they're focused on the inner world and the emotions. So they have a strength there. So they can balance help make the sages more emotionally balanced that way. With priests, that's the most compatible because they're both inspirational roles in search of an ideal or cause. And with kings, they offer dependable support to the king leadership. So you could potentially work with any role, but it's going to be a different dynamic with each role in relationships. So this slide is talking about how the server expresses differently through the different soul ages because there's different focus. So in the infant soul, which is infant soul age, the focus is on survival, focuses on basic caregiving and physical support, nurtures immediate needs. In the baby soul age, which is focused on structure, they provide structured rule-based support, valuing duty and obedience. In the young soul age, which is focused on achievement, they serve in practical, success-driven ways, seeking recognition for helpfulness. In the mature soul age, which is the focus on relationships, they deepen emotional nurturing, they balance personal growth with helping others. And the old soul age, which is focusing on context, they offer unconditional support, emphasizing spiritual service and universal compassion. In work and career, here's some things that they might gravitate towards in work and career. Healthcare, nursing, caregiving, therapy, or any supportive healthcare role. They really like that. Education, teaching, counseling, or roles focused on nurturing or supporting students. They also like nonprofit and social work, advocacy, community service, charity work. They're interested in hospitality, roles in customer service, hospitality or event planning, and human resources, focused on employee support, well-being, and team harmony. In family and community, and so in relationships and their community in general, this is the role they play. They're primary caregiver. They often take a nurturing, supportive role within the family. They're the peacemaker, striving to maintain harmony and resolve conflicts. They're a community volunteer, actively participating in community service and helping others. They're the emotional anchor, providing stability and emotional support to family and friends. They're often the host and organizer, enjoying hosting gatherings and ensuring others feel welcome and cared for. Their leadership style. They're servant leaders. They lead by example through service and support. They have an empathetic approach, focusing on understanding team needs and fostering a supportive environment. They have a collaborative style, encouraging teamwork, cooperation, and open communication. They focus on conflict resolution, prioritizing harmony and mediating conflicts calmly. And they're typically behind the scenes, preferring to lead from a supportive role rather than seeking the spotlight. Because they're the most ordinal role, which means they most focus on one to one. So actually, like, even though they're the most popular, like populous, like there's mostly servers on the planet, we don't have a lot of examples of them in the popular sphere because they're usually not seeking the spotlight. So here's a historical example of the server, which is Mother Teresa. She was definitely a server. She dedicated her life to serving the poor and sick, embodying selfless compassion. She provided care and support without seeking recognition, focused on helping others. Created a global impact through her humble and devoted acts of service. So she just fits the archetype of the server just perfectly. Here's a fictional example, Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. He's a loyal companion who supports and protects Frodo on his journey. He demonstrates unwavering dedication and selflessness in times of hardship, and he provides emotional and practical support, always putting others' needs first. And here's a list of some other servers: Dalai Lama, Queen Elizabeth II, Sally Field, Ray Liotta, Paul McCartney, Vladimir Putin, Eleanor Roosevelt, Susan Sarandon, Travis Scott, or Jacques Webster is their regular name, Wesley Snipes, and Jimmy Stewart. So this slide is the secondary role combinations. So if you get your chart channeled, or if you don't know anything about Michael teachings, either way, we're going to have some characteristics of secondary roles. Sometimes you have like tertiary roles too, pretty often. So you're going to have like a primary role. In this case, if you're a server, it would be server. But then they can have combinations with the other roles as secondary influences, which kind of flavors you in a different way. So it's really interesting because we're not just straight up just one role. We're kind of a combination of roles, which gives us kind of our unique flavor. So server combined with artisan adds creativity to caregiving and enjoys helping others through artistic and innovative means. The server warrior combination blends nurturing with protection, serves with courage and decisiveness. Server scholar infuses caregiving with knowledge, supports others through teaching or research. The server sage combines service with communication, inspiring through uplifting words and storytelling. Server priest enhances nurturing with spiritual guidance, serves by inspiring faith and healing. And the server king offers structured, authoritative support, leading by example in service to others. So now I'm going to get into some of the other personality type systems and archetypal systems that are popular. First, I'm going to talk about some MBTI stuff. So we'll talk about, here's the, right here on this slide is the cognitive functions, which functions the server is likely to lean on a lot, which would determine their type if it's their primary cognitive function. So what I would say is the strongest one here for servers is extroverted feeling, which is the focus on others' needs and creating harmony. They're really in touch with other people's emotions and needs, and very sociable in that way and very helpful. So that's really big on extroverted feeling. They also really favor introverted sensing, which values stability and reliable caregiving. It allows them to be connected to traditions and some kind of stable, reliable support. Introverted feeling is also something they might be interested in. If they didn't want to go for extroverted feeling, they might have introverted feeling, which is deep empathy, personal values, and service. They also might be interested in extroverted sensing, which is more being plugged into what's happening right now so they can be attentive, so they can be practical, hands-on support. So this doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have these functions if you're a server, but these are more likely. So here's a list of some of the more likely MBTI types for the server. ISFJ is the one that's most like the server archetypally because it has extroverted feeling and introverted sensing. So they're nurturing, reliable, and tradition focused. ESFJ is very similar, same two main functions of extroverted feeling and introverted sensing. Outgoing, supportive, community oriented. INFJ is a little bit different. It has introverted intuition first and extroverted feeling second. So this is more of an intuitive style helper. They're insightful, empathetic, and growth focused. ENFJ, similar thing to INFJ, just a different order of functions. Charismatic, inspirational, leadership, and care. ISFP might be likely too, which would be extroverted sensing and introverted feeling. Gentle, empathetic, quiet support. ESFP is like same thing, extroverted sensing, introverted feeling. I didn't really say the order correctly for ISFP, but you get the point. ESFPs are energetic, practical, have hands-on care. So if you notice on here, there's a lot of feeling functions involved in for the server. They're likely to be more on the feeling side. They could be more on the thinking side, but I would say that would be more likely if they had combinations with other roles like a scholar or a warrior or maybe a sage or something like that. It's different for each person, and then also your soul age might affect how this is manifesting. I know like a server that's a ENFP. My sister's a server, but she's an ENFP. So that you can be, there's a lot of possibilities here. But here's are some of the ones that I would say are the most archetypally aligned with server. So the likely Enneagram types. Type 2, the helper, is the most like the server. They're driven to care and support others, seeking to feel needed. Type 6, the loyalist, is also aligned with the server. They provide reliable, dependable support, valuing security and community. Type 9 is also very similar, the peacemaker. They strive for harmony and peace, avoiding conflict while helping others. And type 1 can sometimes align with server because they're committed to doing the right thing. They serve with a sense of duty and moral responsibility. So likely zodiac signs. If you're looking at zodiac signs, I would recommend looking at your Vedic astrology chart because it's actually astronomically accurate. Western astrology is using a calculation that was astronomically accurate 2,000 years ago, but is no longer accurate. So we probably won't see the actual positions in Western. You have to look at Vedic. But this doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have these zodiac signs because there's such a unique combination of things in every life, and we're trying to learn different lessons to become more complete. But these are the ones that kind of align most with the server. Cancer, they're nurturing, protective, and family oriented. Virgo, they're service driven, practical, and detail oriented. Pisces are compassionate, empathetic, self sacrificing. And Taurus is probably the least likely for these, but still kind of fits the reliable, steady, valuing comfort and security. So there's also the system from Pam Osley. You can check out her book, Life Colors, which goes into personality types related to aura colors. So the one that is most like the server is the blue aura, which is compassionate, nurturing, and focused on helping others. There's also kind of like a secondary aura color. It's never a primary aura color somebody has. It's more like a flavoring, and it's called lavender. It's gentle, imaginative, and spiritually attuned to caregiving. So maybe if you were like a blue lavender, that would be the most like the server energy. So here's some reflective questions that you can ask yourself to figure out if you might be a server. If you say yes to all these, then you're probably a server or have some server characteristics as part of your essence. If it's not primary, it could be secondary, tertiary, or something like that. So check this out. Do you often find yourself taking care of others or providing support in your relationships? Do you feel fulfilled when you are helping or nurturing someone? Do you struggle with setting boundaries and saying no when needed? Do you find it challenging to prioritize your own needs over others? Are you drawn to careers or roles where service and care are central themes? There you go. If you said yes to all those, like a strong yes, you might be a server. So here's a summary of everything we went over. The core role for the server is that they're nurturing, supportive, and focused on helping others. Their strengths are empathy, reliability, and a calming presence. Some challenges they encounter are setting boundaries, self-care, and avoiding burnout. Their growth focus is balancing giving with self-nurturing and developing self-awareness. And their spiritual path, they can practice mindfulness, self-compassion, and find community support. So that's everything I wanted to go over for the server. I hope that was useful for you guys. If you want to learn more about the server and the roles in general, there's this really good book. This is the best book I found going into depth on the roles. It's called 7 Personality Types by Elizabeth Puttick. I got some ideas from this book that really highlighted, especially like the combinations of the different roles, like, and the relationships with other roles. This is a good book if you want to deep dive into some of the understanding each of the roles. So that's it. I'm going to have other videos in this series for each of the other of the 7 roles in total. And you can go visit those. If you take my test that's in the description, you can figure out your primary, secondary, and tertiary roles. And then you can go check out whatever video really applies to you. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this stuff, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.